Welcome to Web3 Buzz, where we talk products, communities, and careers in Web3. Every week, we bring awesome people from the Web3 world and talk about what they're building and how they're disrupting products and communities with innovation and inclusivity. For the first episode of Web3 Buzz, we have with us Tommy Eninkel, also known as Alice and Bob, who's the founder of Chaos DAO and the communication director at Mangata Finance. And we also have Moonbearer, who's the founder of Chaos DAO Apes and Buff Gems. Welcome, Tommy and Moonbearer.
Hi.
Thank you for having us. Hi.
Awesome. It would be great if you could introduce yourselves to our audience. Maybe we can start with Moonbearer.
Sure. Yeah. I go by the name Moonbearer. By now, I would say my name is known in combinations with NFTs. This happened in the beginning of May, where I started to transition from being a normal investor or crypto enthusiast in the Web3 ecosystem and Polkadot and Kusama into a more artsy direction with NFTs, and found my place there, and here we are, and I'm sure we're going to go a bit more into details later on.
Awesome. Tommy?
Yes. So I started with crypto in 2017 and then took a little break during the bear market, came back this year and was very interested to look for new opportunities aside from Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I found Polkadot. I was very excited about the technology because I have a background in IT and marketing, but mostly IT. And I was very impressed by the technological foundation. And so I started investing. I wanted to get a foothold, and I became interested in the validation of the nodes, also in validation of the blockchain. Started a node and then wanted to do more content around it to get some attraction, to get some attention for my node. Did some content and built new connections, for example, to Moonbearer and other people from the community. And also was recently hired by Mangata Finance as a marketing, communications, and community builder. And together with Moonbearer, we also created Chaos DAO, a community of Polkadot and Kusama enthusiasts that just form a nice group together and share information.
That's definitely a very interesting journey. So can you talk about how you kind of came into founding Chaos DAO and also being associated with Mangata Finance? So can you talk a little bit about that, Tommy?
Mm-hmm. How did Chaos DAO start? So I was connected to Moonbearer and a few other people, like maybe 20 or 30 people on Twitter. So we were just excited about Kusama, mostly, also Polkadot. And I was doing my videos, and at some point I was thinking, well, it would be cool if we were having a Discord, because there were many Discords available on parachains, but it would have been cool to just have a Discord with people to talk. And so we started the Discord, and at the beginning it was like a little bit weird. You now have people in the chat, and what should they talk about? And so we stimulated a few discussions, and over time it grew in certain stages. So in the beginning it was 20 people or so, and we were just having daily discussions and discussed everything that was on our mind about the whole ecosystem. So more and more people became interested, and so we started to create an invite policy on what basis do we invite people. And it has been very informal in the beginning, and we tried to formalize processes when we needed it. And after some time, so at the beginning it was like just people talking, but after some time it began to develop a certain dynamic that people were talking about it on Twitter too. And I think a strong relationship with that was also about our common group identity as Chaos DAO being a community of people that are sharing alpha. So I think Moonbearer made a great contribution to that with inventing the Chaos DAO Apes, So maybe it's a good opportunity to hand over the word and let you talk a little bit, huh?
Yeah, thank you. It was definitely very interesting times. I remember back in the days when you started out on YouTube or on Twitter and sharing your YouTube videos, and your Twitter account was quite small in the beginning, but your content was just up there. And I mean, I started crypto in 2017 as well, but taking Twitter seriously only this year. But I had the gut feeling that you got some more brain cells in your head than other people by the content you put out, and I wanted to push it and support it because I thought that was very valuable. Yeah, and then you came around the corner and said, "Hey, we gathered a nice little group of knowledgeable people, and we got nice topics to talk about. Let's do this in a Discord." And you named it Chaos DAO, which was a multi-ape protocol. So it had all these multiple layers of different people we usually talk with on Twitter. So everyone has a different personality. Everyone has a different range of knowledge about certain things. And yeah, as I have a background with communities, I thought it would be very, very cool to give it all a sign, a badge, a face. So I created these layered apes, the NFTs. Obviously, NFTs have been a big hype when they started out on Singular and the Kusama ecosystem. So that was a very nice wave we caught there with the apes, and it developed. You know, it was in the beginning, it was for the core members. It was just a badge, and they were given away to these people, and everyone was very proud of them. But then sales opened up, and the whole collection took a big. I don't know how to say it. It did explode a little in the Kusama ecosystem as a badge for the DAO, I would say.
It's definitely agree with that. So Chaos DAO has become now like this iconic, most sought after DAO with the most prominent people in the Dotama space being a part of it on one end. And then there is on the other end, this huge inclusivity of talented and growing people in the space being encouraged and supported immensely. So I think it's a great combination that we have right now in the Chaos DAO. So Moonbearer, you made these cool looking apes as utility NFTs, giving out access to Chaos DAO. And it kind of built a whole culture around them, right? Like each of them, like you said, they have their own personality, and owners started identifying with them, using them as PFPs, and they became viral. So what was the inspiration for you to create this? And what was your strategy in terms of art, community, or marketing, which led to the enormous success like they did?
Okay, so there was no certain strategy for the apes themselves. The overall strategy was to cater to the DAO, because the NFTs and the visualization of a certain thing is very, very good to point people into a certain direction in the community. And having these NFTs as profile pictures was like a flag on Twitter. So people would see such an ape and they would think about the Chaos DAO. So these are basically, it was two different projects. It was my art project, and on the other side, the Chaos DAO Discord that grew separately but catered to each other. So there was no rough guideline that was laid out like, hey, we are the Chaos DAO and we want to have this and this corporate identity or something like that. That wasn't the case. It was just the case that I said, hey, there should be a sign for us, and these should be appearing on Twitter to symbolize that we are a group of people and we stick together. And I believe that the reason behind the success, or behind the big success, and also behind the big numbers these NFTs bring in, is the DAO itself. The stories the people hear about that group, the actions this group takes, because it is certainly a very, very supportive space, like you say. that some talents are in there and they get pushed, they get put together with the right people. We do have the right people in there with the right mindset. It is a very versatile group, but everyone plays along the rules. Everyone has been around the block in crypto. Everyone knows how to behave and treat certain informations. And it's just I would say just a very basic positive vibe of, hey, let's share together, let's do together. And this is also the storyline I gave to my apes. When you read the description of the apes, I connected them all with each other, gave them all personality, and let them interact with each other in the descriptions. And so there's a very cool parallel to the Chaos DAO Discord and the Chaos DAO apes when you come to storytelling, I would say.
Awesome. And you also came up with this next chapter of Chaos DAO Apes, where you launched the Buff Gyms. It seems to be tasting the same kind of success, be it clocking one of the highest daily sale volumes, or again, becoming a PFP phenomena and all the Twitter buzz. So what is your plan, and what was your plan and vision for that?
My plan and vision for the Buff Gyms is and was that it is a new project from me personally, without having it attached to the DAO brand, because I am a strong believer that the DAO grew to a certain point where it is taking its own direction without needing or without having the input of a certain NFT creator personally. That might mean that there's multiple NFT creators who create a certain badge for the DAO ongoing or something like that. But for me, it was very important to also take the community that I have built as an NFT creator, because I've been in arts for many, many years already, and now in NFTs, to take this community and take it to the next level, to build something for the future. And with the Buff Gyms, it is a vehicle for me to grow the community, to be able to make future bigger projects possible without giving too much away of information, because I wanted to grow my reach and the community to make bigger plans in the future possible. But I rarely talk about these things, but because I'd rather show actions than show roadmaps, and so I try to keep it on below what my plans might be.
Yeah, on that, you really made this iconic, right? May or may not. The whole, I think it's the phrase became so popular right now. What is your thinking behind that? Like, do you believe in kind of under promising and over delivering? Is that the reasoning, or do you have any other reason for that?
It goes a little bit deeper. I was just like Tommy. I entered crypto in 2017, lost some interest, and then came back. And in January, I had like 10, 15 different coins in my wallet. And when in April the market went down, it was all too stressful for me to follow all these different projects and know what's happening to keep my investments safe, or at least know what's happening. So I looked in all of them and I decided that Kusama and Polkadot are the ones that I personally believe the most in. So I sold all my crypto and just bought Kusama and Polkadot. And especially Kusama is a topic where I believe you just have to have some faith. Have faith in the people building it. Have faith in your judgment of the situation, and just stick with it. You don't want to day trade. You don't want to go in and out. You just want to decide for a direction and have conviction that this is going to be the thing, because then you can sleep at night without caring about any charts. And for me, with my NFTs, it's perfectly the same topic. You can trust me. You can buy an NFT and just sit tight and wait for what might come or might not come. And I'm kind of nurturing this whole conviction topic. Like, for example, you could buy an ape coin for 0.75 Kusama from me 1.5 months ago without any information whatsoever, what it might give you. 1.5 months later, it gives you a trap, and this trap gives you a buff chimp worth 2.5%. So what I do is I build, I deliver, but I don't tell the people what I'm building. Either you want in or you want out. But if you're in, just sit tight and believe in it. And just like with Kusama, have some conviction that we'll end up in a nicer place.
That's a very interesting perspective. And talking about community building, just wanted to understand from both of you, because you have had backgrounds in marketing and community building. How did your backgrounds contribute to the success that you're seeing with crypto communities? Tommy, you are building a huge community of DeFi with Mangata Finance, and Moonbearer, you are building the NFT community. So just wanted to understand how your backgrounds are helping you to build these kind of successful communities. Tommy?
I think the basics of community building are the same everywhere. I think it's not very different in crypto, because community building is just a social activity. So there is a second dynamic to community building. So what I personally did was that I first wanted to run a node, and to get enough nominations, I needed to do marketing for the brand of the node. And so I created the YouTube channel with the intention to create attention for my node. And I know that I come from a content marketing perspective. And so in content marketing, the basic assumption is you create value for free for other people. And this will be the most attractive proposition that you can make for them if they get something very good for free. And so you will get their attention in exchange, and then can direct the attention. And so my idea was, I understand technology, and I understand how to package knowledge, like how to share knowledge. And so I created the YouTube videos under the brand of Alice and Bob, which is a common name used for cryptography researchers. And so I knew cryptography-minded people would understand it, and everyone else would just see a funny name combination. And I tried to make important basic concepts of Kusama understandable for people. And at the end, I would say, and if you like the content and you want to support me, you can also support the channel. And so I did the videos and I did Twitter to grow a channel and a brand. And then later on connected with other people who were strong in that Twitter game. So we might not be fully representative of everyone in the space, because most of the core members were very active on Twitter, and so we were very outgoing. You also have other people who are more observing and watching. And I contacted those outgoing people and invited them to the DAO, and then they contacted other people. And so a lot of that was word of mouth. So that was the first phase. And we already had some outgoing people, which I think was a good basis, and they were already connected and they shared the same interests. So you have similar interests, you have actively communicating people, you throw them into a pool and they are on the lookout for more information. We were priding ourselves with having very intelligent people. And I think this is true, that we had intelligent people who were looking for information which helps themselves, but they also understand that it's important to share information with others. And I think a second component that was more into the community building side was that we did this regular check-ins about once a week. I've stopped doing that for a while now because I became more busy with other things. But I did the regular check-ins where I said, hey, how is the community doing? What do we need to improve? What should we close some channels? Should we open up some new channels, and so on? And I think the regular check-ins help with getting a temperature check for the community and understanding where is everyone sitting. Do they have a pain? Do they think it's good? So give everyone an opportunity to voice where they are and where they stand.
Those are really awesome views, and I'm sure the audience must have got really great insights from them. Moonbearer, do you have anything to add?
Not really. I mean, I was always a big fan of that video from the one guy dancing at that music festival. I don't know if you know that scene, but there's one guy on the big field dancing on his own, making a complete jerk of himself. And then suddenly, a couple of minutes later, there's a second guy just joining him because he thinks, hey, this is fun. He's dancing on his own. I'm going to join him. Then the third guy comes and the fourth guy comes, and it just takes like a minute until like basically a whole hill full of people comes running towards that first guy who was dancing on his own, doing his own show, and just wants to join him. This is kind of a representation for me, a visualization of how community or how development in any region works. You have to have a strong leader, a strong starter, like Alison Bob. He had a strong opinion, he had a strong voice on Twitter. And you have to have a couple of people who join in to reinforce this movement. And once you have that movement and people see it from the outside, they want to join, because otherwise they'll be left out. And this is what community building is, in my perspective, is about. Not about giving the people the feel of being left out, but giving them something to run towards, that they want to join, that they want to be part of. And yeah, I think when you want to grow a community, the way that Tommy explained it is perfect. You have to have some core members with the right mindset, with the right outreach, and then just take care of it and nurture it and make sure everyone's happy and everyone is fine. This is also with my NFT community. It's the same case. I listen to them. I listen to every member. I don't care if he has an NFT of me or not. I read the messages. I care, and I try to make it as good as possible for everyone talking. And yeah, I think especially in the beginning, when you build up a project, this is just vital.
Definitely, I think, giving the community a purpose and showing leadership, having a great sense of community feedback and listening to your community, I think is the most important, like you both pointed out. And another question I had was, how about people who are purely artists? Moonbearer, maybe you can touch upon this, like people who are purely artists and they don't have any kind of marketing or community building background, skill set, or experience. So what is your advice for them to be successful in the space?
Just do it. No one can hurt you. If you are an artist and you have an internet connection, just go onto Singular and mint your NFTs and put yourself out there. Get your feet wet. I mean, I know people who post pictures of half-eaten bananas and try to sell them. Then on the other hand, there's people who are really, really, really great artists who got their feet wet and sell their NFTs on Singular. I mean, you can create a Twitter page. You can create a Discord channel. You can do this all without doxing yourself, and you can upload art. And when your art is kick-ass, people will talk about it. I mean, how many artists have we seen by now who just started out putting their pictures on Singular, and a month later, their life has changed? We just recently had an artist who put out pictures of a certain animal that he drew. And he says how drastically his life changed within 2 weeks, just because some people saw that art he created and said, hey, this is cool. This has something to it. I want to buy it. So when you are an artist and you create some sort of visual or audio art, just go to Singular and mint it. What are you waiting for? Seriously, no one can hurt you. It can only have upsides.
That's really wise advice for sure. I think, there's such a low barrier of entry, especially in the .sama ecosystem, with very low gas fees and easy to use UI for Singular, especially what you said definitely makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not only a very low entry barrier, but it's only like it's basically nothing. When you look at other systems, you pay $150 just to create an NFT or try to get a Tailwind. For Kusama in singular, it's like cents.
Absolutely.
And I mean, what better way to get into the technology than this? I mean, when you paint pictures and you don't do it digital, take a picture of your painting, sell this as an NFT with the promise to ship the original oil painting with it for free. Something like that. There's always ways to find ways of advertising and do your own, or do yourself. Go your own ways, try to be original about it, and people will see it and people will like it.
I also think it's a very good time to do it now, because some people might think, oh, they missed the NFT hype, but I don't think so at all. I think if you're an artist and you want to make money with your art, now is a good time to yes, get your feet wet, your toes wet, because the blockchain democratizes the way or creates avenues for you to sell your art. It creates possibilities to sell your art that haven't been there before. Because in the Web 2, where can you go in the Web 2 and put your images out there and hope that you get them sold? I mean, it's possible, but right now the attention is in the NFT space. And I think Remark especially is good because there is so much potential in where the platform and the technology can go. It's not just images, but it's the whole technology around it and on what can be done with those images in the future. Not everyone is very deep into NFTs and what can be done with them in the future. But if you have a little bit of trust that the technology will go somewhere, Remark is an exceptionally good platform to post your pictures for a cheap price, like cents. And we have really seen it with so many artists that just after 2 months, they show you secretly the balance sheet and they could live out of creating art sometimes, or just have a good income source, an additional income source.
Absolutely. I think especially with Remark 2.0, there are such cool features that you can do with your art. You can just make them so advanced.
That's an interesting topic, if I may jump in there.
Yeah.
Because when we are in crypto and we talk to non-crypto people about what crypto could be and where it could lead, they always say, well, there's no use case for that. That's just nonsense. We don't need that. And I always say, well, back in the days when the car was invented, the horse people used to say that. Well, what do you need a car for? We got horses. And I believe we are at a point in NFTs where it might be quite similar, with Remark 2.0 showcasing what actual cars will be in the future, while there's still people believing their horses are the future. And when you are looking to make a transition into crypto as an artist, I believe now is the time to be ready when that wave hits, when all of the crypto wakes up and sees what is actually possible with NFTs, and that NFTs aren't just pixelated pictures, but way, way more and much more, that these things actually have utility and a future. And Remark displays this in a very gamified version with the Canarias and with the Sky Breach metaverse coming up. And all these things, it's very gamified, but it is showcasing of what the technology bears. And if you don't want to ride around on horses forever, maybe look at cars, I would say. Also, I think it could be huge for the whole Kusama ecosystem, because people are very attached to their NFTs, and when there's new tech out there and they see it, they want to jump on it and they want to join the bandwagon.
Makes sense. Let's jump into Mangata Finance, right? I think it's one of the most interesting DeFi projects in the space, with a brilliant team of PhDs, engineers, and early crypto OGs. And I think it also has a very unique value proposition of making DEXs more accessible and fair. So, Tommy, can you elaborate on what is the purpose and vision of this project? What problem are you trying to solve, and who are your target users?
Mm-hmm. You can go very different routes when explaining something like this. I will be bold and do a little bit of a technical route with you. So right now we see a lot of DEXs being created, a lot of decentralized exchanges, most on Ethereum and EVM-based chains. And then we have a few parachain projects in the Polkadot space. So, for example, Akala Karura, also, for example, Bifrost and other chains are offering DeFi products or DeFi primitives. And the special thing when you're doing a parachain is that you can change the rules of the game. And this is very important because DeFi and DEXs, as we see them on Ethereum, have certain fundamental flaws or problems that are detrimental to capital efficiency. So when you're in DeFi and when you're in finance, one concept is very important, that is capital efficiency. I give you an example. Let's say you want to trade something. And let's do the example that the Polkadot and Kusama community is very proud of. And you go to Ethereum. If I would be having $1,000 in stable coins and I would want to buy ETH for that on Ethereum, just approving the contract and swapping the ETH, it would cost me $100 or $200 or maybe $300 in trading fees, in gas fees alone. And this is not very capital efficient. So small players are priced out of the game in Ethereum. It doesn't even make sense for me to do any activity on Ethereum if I'm not having huge returns, because it's just costing so much to pay gas fees. Okay, one problem. We're solving that in the Polkadot space because we're having a lot of parachains and they're having tiny transaction fees, tiny gas fees. The issue is over time, even those can increase. If the network gets more interesting for more people join the space, gas fees will also rise. So this can also become a problem in the Polkadot Kusama space. We want to solve this by changing the rules of the game on our parachain and saying there are no gas fees for swaps, for trading activity. Gas fees are usually there to say you want to prevent attacks on the network, spam attacks, like throwing in 1,000 transactions that basically do nothing and just are there to block the network. And to do something against such attacks, you say there is a gas fee and you pay a little bit of cost every time you use the network. Well, for DeFi and swapping tokens, you don't need that, because every time you're swapping a token, you're taking a small trading fee anyways. So you don't need an additional fee on top of the first fee. That doesn't make sense in a swapping context, in a DeFi, in a DEX context. So we're saying for trades on Mangata, we're removing the gas fees. And this is only one small example of capital efficiency. You can find this in more sophisticated concepts when you dive deeper. So, for example, if you are trading against an automatic market maker, which is the basic way of trading on the blockchain in a decentralized way, you're having the concept of slippage. So if I'm having a liquidity pool where only a few tokens are there, and I'm swapping one token against the other, the price difference will shift very drastically. And so this creates a lot of slippage. The price is slipping a lot during the trade. And this is also not very capital efficiency, because you can't trust that you will get the best price or that the price will be very stable. And if you are a more professional or institutional investor or trader, you can't trust instability. What you need is stability. And even for a retail user like me, I need stability. I need to trust the protocol that when I swap my tokens, the price will not bump by 10% or so, even 1%. But yeah, let's say it should not bump by 10%. And so we can find different solutions for different problems like this. So this is the basic idea. Solve capital efficiency, use the technology to solve fundamental issues and solve them in a different way, because with a parachain, we can change the rules of the game and still have the security of the relay chain. And we're having three things. We're having a no gas economy. We are preventing front running and mine extractable value. So we are preventing that bots are gaming you and stealing a little bit of your slippage every time. And we see this in Ethereum and even on Moonriver and also on some of the parachains already, that bots are coming in. And when you are saying, okay, I'm okay with 1% slippage, the bots are placing transactions just to steal that 1% of slippage. And this can be prevented. Some of the geniuses at Mangata found a way to prevent this, and we are solving this on a protocol level. That's number two. And number three, one issue that also is important for capital efficiency is when you're staking or you're putting your money in DeFi. And usually you have to do one thing. Either you stake and you secure the network, or you put your money in liquidity pools and gain from the trading fees and from the liquidity mining. But you have to make an either or decision. And that's not good for capital efficiency. If everything you put into staking cannot be there for the liquidity pool. And so the liquidity pool can't be as deep as it could possibly be. And so there is a very simple twist and solution to this. And the idea is to not stake native tokens for the network security, but instead use LP tokens, so liquidity pool tokens, as security to secure the network. And that leaves the capital free in the liquidity pool and make a deeper liquidity pool to allow more capital efficiency. So while these might be a little bit more sophisticated concepts, the basic idea is always to make trading cheaper, to make it more reliable, to prevent cheaters, or let's say people who just have a better technology and swooping in with the bots, to prevent it and to create a more fair and a more decentralized solution for everyone. So that's the idea in about 5 minutes.
Awesome. That is a very, very interesting value prop, like you explained. Let's just dig into each of these points, right? So first thing you mentioned was to remove the gas fees from the transaction, right? Will there still be any kind of fee, like say the DEX fee that is charged and given to the liquidity provisioners, right? So is that still there for the users?
Yes. So there are trading fees. And for everything that is not trading, so for example, doing governance voting, there still will be a small fee by the system. But that's minor, and it's usually not done so often. For trading, we will have what is common in swaps. So 0.3% of the trade volume will be a trading fee. And it will go in the larger part to liquidity providers. And a little bit will go to the treasury of the DEX, which will result in an appreciation of the native token value. And then we also have algorithmic buy and burn. What is the idea here? So we are having a capped supply for our native token. We're not having inflation. We're having a capped supply. And for every trade, a small percentage of the trade, 0.05%, will be used to buy the native token and burn it immediately. This does two things. It creates a deflationary pressure, so it might aid in token appreciation. But the main idea is, if we are continually burning our native tokens, on the other end of the system, we can add more tokens. And so we can still keep up rewards and incentives for behavior that is good for the ecosystem. And so what do we need for the ecosystem? On the one hand, we need to give out staking rewards. So this will always be a need, and we always need to have stakers that secure the network. So we want to pay them. And the other thing is we want to always be in the situation that we can either support liquidity mining or do other more modern forms of developing the ecosystem. So for example, the current discussion that we're having is about protocol-owned liquidity, like you're seeing it in the DeFi 2.0 movement. So the idea of if the DEX owns a little bit of the liquidity, it can provide, again, deeper liquidity pools and more security on certain liquidity pools that mercenary capital is not running away and the pools will get very unstable, which you do not want.
Got it. And the second use case you mentioned was less slippage when swapping the tokens, which is usually caused by MEV, right? Which is minor extractable value. So currently there are some solutions which mitigate that, like in Ethereum, I think we have flash bots, which includes a direct channel for MEV extractors to bid with the miners directly and privately. And then there are solutions like KeeperDAO's hiding book, again, that also allows submitting transactions to a private mempool. And there are things like CowSwap, where it has a uniform price settlement within the batch orders. And since all the orders have the same price, there is no transaction sequencing at all. And they claim that it fundamentally eliminates the MEV situation, right? So how do you, first of all, do you find problems in these existing solutions? And if so, how does Mangata kind of mitigate that?
Yeah, so I think the first two solutions you suggested are very similar in nature. They talk about private mempools. So, and this does not solve the problem. It just democratizes it or shifts it away or hides it. But the issue is still that you have mine extractable value and nodes are still stealing from people. For the third solution, I haven't heard about that one, but I'm also not the best expert on the area, but it sounds good from what you just presented to me. It could be a good viable solution. I would like to look into this. But against the first two solutions, the problem you're having when you're having a private mempool, so what does this mean? This does mean that whenever you have a transaction, you're not publishing it on the blockchain or to the nodes in the blockchain itself, but you're only publishing it to a few nodes that you're trusting. So this is against the idea of a trustless network, and you are incentivizing mechanisms of centralization. You still pay the overhead. You still pay the overhead of MEV. You're just paying less overhead so that you're having a certain node that you trust more than all of the other value extractors. But there is still value extracted from you for paying for the private mempool. What we want to do differently is we want to change the protocol because originally Ethereum and Bitcoin were not invented with the idea that sometime in the future bots could come and extract that value. There was no idea of that originally. So we have to reconsider this and maybe reinvent parts of the protocol. And what we are doing is, on a technical level, that we are looking at how a block is constructed with all of the transactions. And we're saying this is actually two jobs. One job is to accept transactions into a block. And the second job is to sequence them in a block and put them in a block. And so what we are doing is we are splitting the block creation up into two steps. And so one node is doing is accepting the transactions into the block. And the second node is sequencing them. And we are constructing this in a way that no node ever has the full knowledge to manipulate the transaction. There is always some secret information. And there is a few kinds of mechanism we use, and there is a very extensive blog post where you can read it up. But the basic mechanism is you split the job between two nodes, and assuming those two nodes are not colluding, you are basically able to prevent that each of them can extract any value or can deny a transaction. So, for example, the content of a transaction or an extrinsic is not known until the last moment. So it is doubly encrypted so that none of each of those nodes or any other node in the system can know the content of the transaction. Only when both nodes have decrypted the transaction will the content of the transaction be known. And by then it will already be sequenced and placed in the transaction. So that's the technical solution for that. I think this prevents a good range of MEV and front-running possibilities, but the space of that is very far and wide, and a lot of potential can be brought up to light on how you can still find ways. So we are actually inviting game theorists, MEV searchers, and so on to get in contact with us, or maybe look at our protocol, and we challenge you to find problems in the protocol, and we will look at them if you find them. It's like a real challenge. You can come and try to front run our system.
Definitely interesting. And how can other projects in the space leverage your solution? Do you think it is a direct competitor to something like Karura Swap, Zenlink, and so on, like the other DEXs in the ecosystem, or is it symbiotic in nature?
We tend to think that it's more symbiotic. Of course, you always have a situation where you say, okay, we are both a DEX, we are both want liquidity, but we are very strongly of the opinion that there is so much innovation happening right now that everyone will find a place and maybe a speciality in where they are best and where they can serve the ecosystem best. And the way that the whole substrate technology is created, it's created in a way that different chains can work together, and that different user workflows can be built over several blockchains. So what our technology does best is prevent front running in MEV and increase capital efficiency. Any other DEX could maybe say, we want to use that feature or use that as a premium feature, and offered it to their users. And we also might open up to other systems and get in contact. Yeah, not much blood to be shed here.
Definitely agree. Especially, I think in the Dotsama ecosystem, with all the parachains communicating with each other and feeding off each of the different use cases, right? Everyone has their own use cases and they're kind of feeding off each other. And that's where the symbiotic nature comes in. You have your testnet live, and I've just played around with the testnet, and it's like seamless between Polkadot and the Ethereum ecosystem, right? It's both the Polkadot.js and MetaMask can be connected simultaneously, and cross-chain assets can be interacted with. So what is the next in your roadmap? What are you looking at? And are you planning a parachain? And if so, on both Dot and Kusama, what's your plan?
Yes. So next week we will have we have a weekly community call, and it's called Mangata Monday. We not only talk about our product, but about the whole ecosystem and also new trends, new innovations in the DeFi space, and also a little bit about the relay chain and so on. We will do an announcement next week about our crowd loan strategy, but maybe talk more from a roadmap perspective or a feature perspective. So what we want to build is not just a product, like a company builds a product and then they do a crowd loan, but the question is, what is the long-term vision? And what we want to build, or personally what I'm interested in, as of course I'm thinking about the product and it's very interesting, but I'm thinking about how is the future of DeFi affected? What are we innovating and what are we actually contributing? Because at the end, after 5 years, you could see a totally different landscape, and 99% of products are gone. And this can happen. And so you want to be in a position where you are part of the history where real innovation is happening. And even if all the products are gone, some part of the innovation is still there. And I think, and we think the best way to do this is to get a community. We're back to community building, to get a community of people who are interested in building a shared mental model of this together and explore solutions together. And bridges are not yet solved. There is still a lot to be done, and it's not all dependent on a single project. But we are looking at the Snowfork bridge. We are looking at other bridges too. And we start to look into more innovative concepts like DEX-owned liquidity. And what we also think will be very important in the future, when you have bridges, wallets will be very important. And so we look at the development of the Talisman wallet, and we think it's a good development. And wallets will also be important for the experience. And so integrating with modern wallets will also be very important. Ideas on how we can explain difficult concepts in art that is very relatable. And then at the end, there will be NFTs. And of course, we want to, we also had some preliminary talks about doing Remark 2.0 items, but I have to do some writing Remark people to push that forward.
Awesome. A lot of alpha there. And so quickly, what are your, for both of you, what are your top 3 projects that interest you the most in the Dotsama ecosystem, excluding your own projects?
That's a tough call, because many people tend to get blinded by some rewards in the past on the Kusama chain, for example, Mover, what they pushed out as rewards for the crowd loan and how it ended up trading in the market. And I feel that many people are just looking at the rewards right now instead of the potential of the projects. And also, I tend to hold back a little with crowd loans at the moment, because everyone is just jumping into the project and crowd loaning all they have. So they are very illiquid on Kusamas. When there's a project in a couple of months coming along that I feel like I would be in love with it and I see a great future for this, I would want to jump into this. So right now, obviously, there's a couple of projects I invested in, my Kusamas, but I'm also holding back, and I didn't change my strategy, because I think you don't have to join every party. You want to go to the parties where you know you're going to have the most fun. And this is very, very subjective to anyone out there, and everyone will have their different projects. And this is why I don't tell people what I personally love besides Remark, which is not a parachain project, so it doesn't make the category.
Tommy, what are your top 3 projects in the Dotsama?
Top 3 is a hard decision. I just went through the list of all the projects, and I'm following and like top 3. There are like top 10 projects, and okay. But I think Remark is doing their marketing very well, but I'm getting very excited about everything that's happening on Remark. I think it's generally hard in the NFT and metaverse space to win, because there are just so many projects. So to make the winning decision on which project you support. But I think the Remark project is doing very well, and I'm very proud to be owner of 4 birds, and I'm very sad that I'm having no Remark tokens. So that's number 1. Number 2, I just had it in my mind. Okay, so Moonsama Minecraft is very, very interesting. I think it's the first metaverse experience that works, and it was just somehow an accident of done in big bags, of just having a genius idea and then paying people to implement it, I think. Or maybe it was a community project, I don't know. But we are having Minecraft, and we are playing Minecraft, and then we are bridging over the resources that we are creating in Minecraft back to Moonriver. And it's just genius. And like it spices on so many levels to get new ideas about how the metaverse could work. And maybe from the other perspective, I wouldn't want to make a decision, but what currently gets me excited is to try out Zeitgeist a little bit when they are launching.
Wow, definitely interesting projects. And I think one final question that everyone has, including me, for Moonbearer is, when female apes?
Oh my God. Female apes, that's a topic for itself, because I implemented 3 female apes into the 99 apes, into the Chaos DAO apes. And everyone was ranting about the ratio of females to males. So for the buff chimps, it's male only, and we will see what happens in the future, because there's a lot of possibilities with NFTs in the future, and what might happen to them and how it might happen to them. So maybe there will be a female line, but for now I take it gender neutral, or as gender neutral as possible.
Awesome. Looking forward to all the exciting things from both of you. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Thank you so much. It was nice.
Thank you for tuning into Web3 Buzz. Follow me at Web3 Alpha Buzz on Twitter, where I post informational threads on interesting Web3 projects. If you would like to access more information about the guests, please see the episode description.